take an entry here, or in a choppy market, you can take advantage of the volatility and you can enter here. Either way, I would want my stop loss below here because we're trading a choppy market, and you take a slightly lower risk reward, right? You can take a 1.5R, for example, right? 1.5R is my favorite risk reward, especially in choppy markets like these. So once you understand where there are buy limit orders, you can trade, right? You can trade. Obviously, we had a gap up, so we had a very, whatever, it was very bullish after that. What's important to understand is that once you have your key levels, price will often gravitate back towards those key levels before heading higher again, right? So the reason why price came into this area is because we knew already there were passive buyers resting over here, right? So we established that from the order flow footprint charts, right? So let's quickly go back and look at this. So what we saw over here, footprint charts, we saw a huge amount of aggressive sellers that failed. We saw them fail as price broke higher over here, right? So capitalizing on that move. Now, what's interesting is when you see price coming back in, we see this rejection. I want traders to study the rejection because the rejection is the best thing you can study, right? It's super interesting where we actually had a green candle, right? This was a green wick. Now, the number of traders who don't understand a wick is alarming. So let me explain to you how a wick actually works. When you see a wick forming like this, right, what that means is that aggressive sellers have failed, right? So I'm just going to write AGG. Aggressive, let me just write it like this. Aggressive sellers have failed, which means that passive buyers are in control, right? Passive buyers are in control of the price. And so this is the reason the market rallied higher off this demand. So it's not an accident you see a wick and a rejection higher off a 15-minute fair value gap over here, right? This is all part of basically trading, right? This is how the markets work. So your job as a trader is to identify key levels, entry at key levels, and you want to see whether your key level is going to be a demand or a supply. So in this case, it was indeed a demand area. There